species that are associated with this habitat, including the red cockaded woodpecker. And Jennifer mentioned or asked if they do occur in South Florida slash pines, and they do. Red cockaded woodpeckers are at the Babcock-Webb WMA in Charlotte County. And I'm not sure that they have longleaf pines there. They're just a little bit north of there, but not on the west. So. And also gopher tortoises. And you can see, again, here, we have pretty high diversity, but also pretty high risk. And gopher tortoises, I'm sure you've heard the word keystone species at some point in your life. Gopher tortoises are a keystone species. Their burrows are actually provide habitat for up to 300 different species, so they're very important to have. And also critters like our Florida fox squirrel. The numbers of these guys have dropped 85% since Europeans first came to North America. And their numbers have really sort of mirrored the disappearance of the longleaf pines and South Florida slash pines. These guys are so dependent on the pine species that we have. So you can see that the Florida range, pretty low in terms of mammal diversity. So my next question is, where do you think we lie in terms of mammal or risk to these mammals?
Number one. Number two.
Yeah. And number two, but look, it's like among the continental United States, we're really number one. So. And then we're followed pretty closely by some other southern states here. But I think the state of the Florida panther is really a great example of why the risk for mammals is so high in our state. So it's really not. I think to your question back there, with the new amendment really changed the map of Florida and the conservation lands. And I think the answer is yes. Well, I know the answer is yes. But at the same time, it's not just about setting aside more land for conservation. So much of it is about management. And it's great to acquire the land, but then you really have to manage it. And you have to manage, especially in Florida, you have to manage it pretty actively. You don't want to end up in a situation like this where you've got your flatwoods habitat, but then it's grown up with shrubs, or even worse, it just becomes a big Brazilian pepper thicket. That may be okay for some critters and that kind of stuff, but I don't know if anybody's been out to Shell Creek Preserve in Charlotte County.
I'm with Audubon and Sierra Club, and Sierra Club's leading a hike out there Thursday morning if everybody wants to go. But Shell Creek Preserve is also part of the HCP for the scrub jay, and that means the pines are probably going to come down.
The pines are what?
Probably going to come down because they're not good for scrub jays. They provide a threat for scrub jays.
As I understand, it's not this particular part. It's like farther east from there.
Well, there's 3 loops, and right now they're working on the 3rd loop, and I haven't seen the whole plan to know if they're going to do the whole property or not. But all 3 loops take a while.
Yeah.
And they're going to be taking pines down. But they have to, because the birds of prey, the kites, etc., sit up there and they take out the jays.
I know that they have let some fires really rip through here, and they don't really care about pine mortality so much. So, but you know what? It's pretty fantastic
It's
now.
a great place.
And if you go on Thursday, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I don't know how much it'll be blooming, but this did not look like this before the current land manager that is in charge of it. He's really applied fire on a very regular basis to this, and it's breathtaking. I mean, it's come a long way, and it has a long way to go, but it's a heck of a lot better than this picture down there. So it provides way more habitat, and unfortunately, this is a pretty narrow space between citrus groves up here and Shell Creek down there, but that's just an aside. I don't even know why I said that. But.
Well, they have property on the other side of the creek, too.
Yeah, and they do there too. So really the key management thing in Florida is for maintaining healthy flatwoods is fire. You really need it on a 2 to 4 year rotation because that's what knocks back the oaks, that's what knocks back the shrubs. That's really what keeps the habitat healthy. And it was in looking for longleaf, the rise and fall of an American forest, that wildlife writer and photographer Lawrence Early said, fire in longleaf pine forest is like rain in a rainforest. And it's really true that, you know, once we lose the fire, we lose the pines, we lose the structural and botanical diversity. This beautiful pawpaw is federally endangered, and it grows in some Charlotte County properties. Have you seen it?
We think some might be out of Shell Creek, actually.
Okay. It's an itty bitty little thing. I mean, these plants, I don't know if it's deceptive or not, but these are tiny little plants. They're only about that big, and their flowers are, you know, maybe an inch across, but, you know, really a spectacular little plant. But without fire, you know, it grows up. The forest can grow up, and you can lose little charms like that. Then you start losing, once you lose the plants, you can also start losing the wildlife, you know, the woodpeckers, the tortoises, the fox squirrels. So this map, it's similar to the one I showed earlier, but it gives really a good representation. As you can see, all the whatever color that is, you can see that most of Florida is really in private lands. And so this really gets back to what Jennifer was saying, that what's evident from this map is that conservation is really in the hands of a lot of private landowners in Florida. Our state, local, federal, non-governmental agencies, we can't manage all of Florida's natural lands. We can't protect all the flora and fauna. There just simply isn't enough resources to do that. So private lands are really the link between the different private or public lands that are more widespread. And as is outlined in our FWC agency strategic plan, FWC is committed to ensuring sustainable wildlife and critical habitat, and also with partnering with Florida residents to work on private lands. So we know fire is an important management tool for habitats, for native plants and animals. As I said before, not all of us live on, we're not big landowners, we don't have big properties, we live in plant neighborhoods or in city lots. But fire isn't also the only tool in the toolbox. And one of the important things, as I mentioned before, invasive alien species really contribute to habitat degradation, habitat loss. So I encourage you to get familiar with what the invasive species are. Educate yourself, know what they are. If you're out on a hike and you see something, pull it out if it's not some enormous thing, or let a land manager know, or let your neighbor know. Because a lot of times people don't know what certain things are. So
attention library patrons. The library will close in 15 minutes.
Okay.
If you have any material to check out.
I've only got a couple more slides, but
Laptop usage.
one of the other things is planting some native plants. The other thing, as Jennifer mentioned, is watching your garbage and not feeding the wildlife. And it's even simple things like putting out an owl box, a bird box, even a bird bath. Those are some great things that you can do, even if you just live in town. As we mentioned, we're part of the landowner assistance program, and we have lots of different options for landowners. We put out these wildlife habitat management calendars. We have easement programs, cost share assistance. See, we got to the end of the show there. So,